Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South. I'm your host, Mike Patton, and on this episode, we will be talking to, in my opinion, one of the greatest Titans there ever was to wear a Titans uniform. That would be linebacker Keith Bulluck. What's going on, man?
Chilling, Mike. Appreciate it as always. Appreciate you having me on your platform, man. And yeah, it's football season. How's your summer been?
Oh man, it's been fun. Been trying to keep up with all these moves, and then I guess get prepared to follow the Titans and the rest of the AFC South. So doing what
No doubt.
I can. But yeah, just wanted to bring you on, talk a little bit of Tennessee Titans football, past and future as well. I want to kind of start off, with the past. Got to revisit the past. Um, of course, a couple years, Nissan Stadium, the old Nissan Stadium will be gone, and there will be the new Nissan Stadium, which, I'm looking at the pictures, it looks kind of like a PlayStation when you look at it over the top.
Yeah,
But
not for sure.
what is your one of your what's that?
Nah, I was just saying for sure. It looks like the PlayStation.
Right, right. So, what is I gotta ask, what is one of your fondest memories in the old Nissan Stadium? Of course, it wasn't called Nissan then; it was called Adelphia Coliseum and LP, and it's went through so many different names. I mean, I'm probably missing one, but what was your just one of your fondest memories in the current stadium of the Titans?
I think obviously I remember one of my first games playing in there. I think it might have been the first game of the season or pre like Kansas City Chiefs game. I think it was first game of the season in year 2000, my rookie year. That's your first NFL game. You got to remember that. And also, you know, yeah, I played there 10 years. So definitely, I remember the 2001 season. It was the first year the Titans had a losing record. I think we went 7-9 that year. But what stood out the most to me was after the game, we lost to Cincinnati that last game. The stands were still packed, and then the crowd gave us a standing. They were like cheering us. The last game of the season, didn't have a good season, lost to the Bengals, and the crowd was still, the fans here in Nashville was still showing love and respect for the Titans, and that stood out to me because one, I was young. I'm like, wow, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? But then as I got older and I got on the field, I became a starter and a mainstay within the defensive lineup. It kind of, that moment always resonated what type of fans we had here in Nashville, even during the bad times. I just knew, we get on the road, we start to play good. The true Titan fans, they're never leaving, but you know, those are the type of moments. And then the Joe Nedney field goal, that was always good to get a home win at home. So I would say those are my top three. I had a longer career here, so it's hard to give just one.
Mhm. Got you, got you. I totally understand, man. You played here in Nashville for a good minute, and of course, a lot of great memories, a lot of great winning. Brought up this nickname, Mr. Monday Night.
Yeah, man.
I know
That
you
was cool, man.
remember that one and talk of that.
Yeah, nah, like I say, that was
But
cool.
one thing I want to ask as well, just I know you had a memory there with the in terms of the old stadium. It's going to be the old stadium, but what is kind of your best team memory? I know you mentioned the 7-9 and the fans still cheering and being there to support. But what do you have like a team memory that you have? Remember playing for the Titans and remember that stands out to you exclusively?
Yeah, I think definitely the 2002 team. I believe we started off 1-5 or something, one and for whatever it was. We started off. We didn't start off too well. And that's when, my first year starting, I remember we beat Philadelphia the first game of the season, took out my boy Donovan McNabb. That always felt good. It's cool actually being retired now, him knowing that he never beat me in a NFL game. So that's cool. I always bring that up anytime we get together, which is almost yearly. But um, but yeah, that was a good season, man, because that was a form, because I was a first year starter. Lance Schulters just got here. Tank Williams just got here. Albert Hainsworth was a rookie. We had Kevin Carr. We had kind of just put it together. We didn't know who we were as a team yet because there were a lot of first time starters. But for that team to be able to, get behind the 8 ball early in the season and be able to make a playoff run the way we did. And then obviously the next year, Steve McNair wins NFL MVP, co-MVP. But yeah, that 2002 team, I would say that 2018, the 13-3 team. And then actually, like I said, I have to give 3 after being here a decade. I also got to give it up to the last team I was with because we started off 0-6, but those men, they showed resiliency to, get it back to a position where if we would have won on Christmas night, we probably, we would have got a playoff position, but we lost to San Diego. And I happened to get hurt, tear my ACL the game before. So I honestly believe if I was playing, we would have beat San Diego because I had something for them. We owed them.
I hear you. I hear you. Now, over all your years playing with the Tennessee Titans, who is your favorite teammate that you've had?
Ah, man. I would have to say definitely Samari Rolle is definitely one of my favorite teammates, because he got I feel when I came here, he was already a Pro Bowler, All Pro, and all those things, and you know, his work ethic never stopped. I remember him and Coach Waterston, our strength coach, would always go at it. And what you learn is some professional athletes train differently and they prepare differently. And Samari was one of those guys that he would have a problem with the strength coach because he's not trying to be in the weight room. But the thing is, he would always show up on game day. He would show up in practice. So he was one of my favorite. Lance Schulters, man, definitely my guy from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? It's not too often that you play with, guys from New York, let alone Brooklyn. These guys, they play basketball. You know what I'm saying? So he brought a lot of attitude and kind of, showed me the ropes. Showed me the ropes early
Right.
in the NFL. And then I got to give it up to the YPs. That's the group, the young punks that I was playing with. Lindell White, Vince Young, Pac-Man, Chris Johnson. That's just what I call them around the locker room. Just because it was a good group of guys that wanted to be great, and they did a lot of, in my mind, for this organization during that time, and especially as an older vet, to mesh with them and them, take my leadership as leadership and not like as insulting or anything like that.
Got you. Yeah, you're bringing up Lindell White and Chris Johnson. I know that a lot of Titans fans remember them as, affectionately known as Smash and Dash. Yeah,
Yeah.
so definitely. Yeah, I remember those times. I remember those years as well. That was a lot of excitement around the city, and definitely
And
one
then,
of the
and you
best
know
times of
what?
my life.
That's a tough question for me because then it's like, at this age right now, I've been out of the league long enough that I can reflect, right? So then, like,
Hmm.
now, real quick, I'm in business. So I think about business. Steve McNair had the Gridiron Nine. He had the red carpet. He had these different business establishments that I wasn't even thinking about and knew nothing about then. But as I started to get older, I'm seeing how guys are transitioning. I got to play with Eddie George, Kevin Carter, you know what I'm saying? So those are the type of things that, as a younger player molded me. So when I think about like some of my favorite players, of course, Javon Curse is in there, Hainsworth, some of my early guys, but. It's just interesting question and thoughts.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely opened up the memories and the floodgates for sure. I know this time. What we're going to do also is we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the present Titans, the 2025 Tennessee Titans. We're going to start on offense. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick commercial break on touring the AFC South.
EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash are two of the best beard grooming products for men worldwide. They help promote growth, keep your beard moisturized and soft, and enhance your overall upkeep of your facial hair. And with the new promo code MPAFC10, you can get 10% off all these products. Just go to www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. Again, that's www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. And again, the promo code MPAFC10. Again, MPAFC10, where you can get 10% off any products except for beard boxes. So treat your beard better today by going to get these the EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash.
All right, and we are back on touring the AFC South. Now we went down memory lane, talked about, Titans past, but we do have to talk about the present, which is the 2025 Tennessee Titans. And we're going to start on the offensive side of the ball. Now, of course, the news this week was not only training camp starting, but who
Right.
wasn't going to be at training camp. One of those people is Will Levis. Now, Will Levis had shoulder surgery right before training camp and is out for the entire season. What did I gotta ask you, what did you think of him having the shoulder surgery and kind of waiting until now as opposed to having it earlier in the off season?
Look, Will is a young quarterback. They just drafted the number one. They had the number one pick, and they drafted a quarterback, Cam Ward, who looks to be very talented. Everywhere he's been getting better. He gets better. So I think Will he didn't feel that he was healthy. Obviously, last year he was having shoulder injuries. And probably instead of putting himself in a situation where they use him in preseason and he hurts it, or he get it out there for garbage time or whatever it is, I think this is one of those situations where he's looking out for self, because at the end of the day, he doesn't necessarily see himself, maybe in his eyes, he sees himself able to be the Tennessee Titans starter. But obviously the Titans as a coaching staff have moved on with their starting quarterback being Cam Ward. So I think Will Levis is really doing himself, a service by make sure he's fully healthy so he can be 100% when he gets back on the market and be the Will Levis that he's developed into. And put that bad season behind him. People are gonna really forget about that next year when the market's open and they're looking for a quarterback. Obviously, Will is very talented, and I'm sure there's a lot of teams that would love to have Will Levis at a low price point, get him in there, and see what he got in year 4.
Mhm. I hear you there. So yeah, it's definitely going to be. It definitely was interesting timing. But you mentioned it. You mentioned him in his Cam Ward, and of course there was a lot of hype going into this season or going into his senior season at Miami, and then after the season with the season that he had at Miami and winning the Heisman, and then going to the draft, a lot of build up when it came to Cam Ward and talking about how special a quarterback he was. So I gotta ask you, what do you think? What did you think of the hype surrounding Cam Ward, kind of before and then kind of after when he was drafted by the Tennessee Titans? Because it's kind of seemed like the hype was there. Then he gets drafted, and it's almost like the hype kind of dies down, even though he's the number one overall pick. And maybe it's because he lands with Tennessee, maybe it's because of other things going on, I don't know. But I just want to get your thoughts and what you think on that.
Well, I think that all the hype that Cam Ward had generated throughout the college season last year was warranted. I feel like if Ashton Genty didn't have the season he had, Cam Ward, and I'm sorry, if Travis Hunter didn't have the season and Ashton Genty, Cam Ward would have been up there, maybe possibly holding the Heisman Trophy. When you think about it, based upon the things that he did at Miami. They didn't win the games. Some of the games that they should have won. I know they lost to my alma mater, Syracuse, but Cam showed up every game. He did the things that he needed to do to put himself in a position to be talked about as a potential number one draft pick. And look, what we do know is Brian Callahan knows quarterbacks. You know what I mean? He's been a head coach for 1 year. He's been around quarterbacks. The quarterbacks he's been around, they don't talk about him like he's not knowledgeable. They talk about him with respect. And, it takes a lot to earn real football players' respect. And I would consider Peyton Manning and Joe Burrow real football players. And obviously he wasn't their coach per se specifically, but being in those rooms, having to talk and communicate them, he gets the lingo and the dialogue down for the offense he wants to implement. Obviously, we saw some of the issues that the Titans had from the quarterback position. It could have been a communication situation, but a lot of it was execution, whether you take it from, the offensive line, certain decisions being made, injuries, however it goes. But I feel that if I'm Brian Callahan, and look, I feel like Brian Callahan's on the clock. You got to be real about the situation, the way the Titans organization has been moving around here. Borgonzi and Brinker, they're working together this year for the first time. You don't want to be put yourself as a head coach in a position where these guys feel like they have to make a position to go get one of their guys, you know what I'm saying, a head coach. So I think that the move that Callahan made to pick to convince the GM and the football operations, the head of football operations, to select Cam Ward with the number one pick. This is him putting all his chips on the table and let's get it. And, from what we've seen from Cam since he's been in mini camp and the different interviews, he's confident. He wants to be a pro. He wants to win, and he wants to lead the Titans.
Definitely. And I misspoke there. He did not win the Heisman. That was Travis Hunter. That's my fault
Yeah.
on
Nah,
that.
I
But
tried to clean it up, but nah, it's all good. It's all good.
got you. Yeah. Speaking of cleaning up, the offensive line, it definitely was a little messy last year. Of course, with this offseason, they went out and got Kevin Zeitler, who was a veteran guard, who was with Detroit last year. And they also went out and got Dan Moore Jr. from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, with that moved J.C. Latham over from left tackle to right tackle. Um, Now, what was your initial thoughts when you got them picking up Dan Moore, and then they just take the guy they drafted to be their franchise left tackle and move him to right tackle? I mean, did that kind of throw you a little bit when you saw that move and okay, did they just draft him to
Well,
be the, the this guy here?
yeah, I mean, and if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, is Dan Moore a natural left tackle, or where did he play at Pittsburgh?
Yes,
Right. So,
he's a natural left tackle.
yeah, Dan Moore's a natural left tackle. He's been in the NFL longer. JC proved that he could play over there. He was over there last year. He did a decent job for a rookie. He wasn't like the reason why everything was terrible, and it wasn't as terrible as the year before. They did actually get better. So I think with that
Mhm.
confidence going into his second year, now going back to the right side where he was at in Alabama, I think it makes the line a little more stronger. You get a veteran to protect your rookie quarterback's blind side, and you hope Quisenberry comes back, because right there I feel like that's the glue to the offensive line, because he has that experience. He's been in the league for a while. He's gonna be comfortable, and also you got Skoronski And I think this offensive line should be where it needs to be to give Cam Ward the time to find receivers. Now, are the receivers going to get open?
Yeah, that's the question. That's definitely a question. We know Calvin Ridley's definitely been doing this thing, and I think he feels more comfortable in year two. And he's actually, it seems like he's more of a leader now on this
Yeah,
team than he was last season, which I could pick that. I'm picking those vibes up from him.
that's good. That's good because,
Yeah.
we follow Calvin Ridley's career. And most times when you're in, playing a role and you get drafted to another team to be the guy, it's going to be an adjustment period. And last year, it was obviously in the beginning, it was a little, didn't know what to do with DeAndre Hopkins, how are we going to get the workload and so on and so forth. So, it was a new offense last year, new coordinator. So in year two of the offense, but year one with the quarterback, I think that Coach Callahan will better have a better understanding of NFL defenses and how to actually implement his offense and install his offense week to week based upon the opponent.
Definitely, definitely, and definitely it's going to be good. Like you mentioned, Lloyd Cushenberry, he's on a pup list to start the season, but he should be ready from all
What I
reports
call
when
him,
the season
Quisenberry,
starts.
my bad.
No, you good, you good, you good. Hey, Quisenberry played here too,
All right.
so it's all good. It's all good. But we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna flip over to the defensive side of the ball. We're gonna talk about another guy that is actually on the pup list as well. And I will say some Titans fans are wondering what they're going to see or when they're going to see him as well. Who that name is and more right after this commercial break on Touring the AFC South.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, and we are back on Touring the AFC South. And like I mentioned before the break, we're going to talk a little bit more, switch over to the defense for the Tennessee Titans this season. And like I mentioned, there's another guy that's joining Lloyd Cushenberry on the pup list to start the season. His name is L'Jarius Sneed. Now, if everyone remembers, last offseason, the Titans traded for him from Chiefs. Of course, gave up draft picks to do so. He didn't play much of the season. End of the season with a quad injury, was out for the rest of the year after like 5 games. This offseason has a minor knee cleanup. This is why he's on the pup list, not because of his quad. So it's not the quad, it's his knee. But even with that being said, what's your level of concern when it comes to L'Jarius Sneed starting the season on the pup list, just given his history, his injury history here in Nashville so far in his going into the second year here?
Well, from what I understand, even from last year, and his time at Kansas City, he wasn't required to practice that much because of his knee situation. So it kind of seems like protocol when it comes to the knee. They say the quad is okay. So the way I see it, it seems as if he's in the same situation as he came in last year. Didn't see him a lot during camp last year. Didn't see him much in the preseason. Then he gets out there, and then he only gets to play in 5 games. One of the things that I loved about the NFL is every year you got to prove yourself. Every year you got to prove yourself. If you was all pro last year, they're looking for you. They got their eye out for you this year. If you made the Pro Bowl last year, they got their eye out for you. You know what I'm saying? So once you get a name, you're not going to sneak up on anyone. So without L'Jarius Sneed being out there last year, we don't know who he is as a Tennessee Titan. And what I will say, going into his 6th year, I believe besides his rookie year, he played 16, 17, 15 games with the Chiefs. And then last year was the first year he didn't, play like pretty much a full workload. That being said, it's easier to go out there and play hurt when you're up a lot of points and you're playing for the Super Bowl every year. So I just think that L'Jarius Sneed, he's in a different role. And hopefully this year he understands that, look, with that money comes some, responsibility to your teammates to go out there and, be present. And I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that I know we as, fans and onlookers, we can't get anything from him. And, the name of the game is the NFL. And the only way to, be that all-pro Pro Bowl player you claim that you have been in, the past, is to go out there and claim it year after year. So, that's all I could really say about L'Jarius Sneed. I know he's a competitor. He's a dog when he's out there, when he's healthy. But let's just see if he's able to get out there and, play a full 17 this year and really, be the player that he's known to be around the league.
Got you, got you. Now we do have a question, I will say, in the Touring the AFC South inbox. Now there is a competition at the inside linebacker spot. James Williams, a guy that played at University of Miami, was a safety. He's converting to play linebacker. He did so last year. Got some snaps, looked pretty good. Then you have Cedric Gray, a guy they drafted from North Carolina last season as well, competing for that spot. And then you have Reese as well. Oh, this Reese the fourth as well. Right now, it looks like James Williams is going out there with the ones, which, to me, that signals that they believe in him and they think he can be the guy. But top tier, he had a question for you. Just, if you had any thoughts on James Williams' potential as a linebacker. To me, I think he's kind of got a leg up because he's a safety converted to a linebacker, and that speed can help him in some instances. And maybe it's the less physical, the NFL being a little bit less physical now may actually help him convert to linebacker a little bit easier and be able to play a little bit more. Did you have any thoughts on that one, Keith?
Yeah, no, I think you hit it actually on the head, Mike, because my first thought was like, because I converted from safety, but I also played outside, and then I also played a year of Mike in college. So I played actually 3 years of linebacker at the collegiate level. And before I moved here, I was drafted first round as a linebacker. So I was pretty much a linebacker when I got here. But so it was totally different. I had to make sure my physicality was up because early in the 90s, that was the name of the game. If you couldn't handle the physicality, they was going to get your ass up out of there. You know what I'm saying? So I think I like the analogy you used. You don't have to worry about the physicality as much in this era. So it's easier to get in the NFL and convert because it's very pass oriented. Look, if you're a physical safety, it's easy to come. The box is smaller. As a safety, you have to run the alley. So really, if I was a linebacker coach and they can have this free game, you just tell your safeties that convert the linebackers, the alley is smaller. The alley is between the A gap or the B gap, typically really the B gap, because most of these safeties are coming and playing weak side linebackers. So that's really their alley. And just on James Williams specifically, I don't know because he is young. You just have to see him out there, see him in different positions. Usually, you give a young linebacker to about year 3, unless he comes in as one of those guys that's supposed to be that dude, top 10 pick. Other than that, you really see that those guys turn the corner. Besides splash plays here and there, but become every down, every week guy about year 3.
Okay. All right. All right. Definitely interested to watch and see how he does. Another person I'm kind of watching, another position, I should say, I'm interested to watch and see is the edge rusher position. Now, the edge rusher position lost Harold Landry. They waived him, or released him, I should say. And he's actually playing for the New England Patriots, signed a nice big old deal up there.
Nice.
Now, they did add some
Braves went
additions
and
this
picked up his
offseason.
boy. Good
So,
looking out, Braves. It's always good to have a coach. It's always good
right,
to have a coach you play hard for, and hey, I got you. Come on up here. You still got some tread on those tires.
right, right. And they brought in here in Nashville, brought in let's see, they brought in Draymond Jones from the Seattle Seahawks. Brought in Lorenzo Carter, who actually retired before the season, and now they brought in Jihad Ward. To me, looking at this edge rusher position, I mean, you still have some reservations, even with what they've had and the talk of Brian Callahan talking about, they're going to try to, be physical up front and push back into the pocket instead of actually having that one dynamic guy that can be like, okay, cool, that guy can give me this many sacks this year, and I count on it and bank it. I mean, do you have kind of a little bit right now at that position?
Look, man, the Titans need heat. That technique that Coach Callahan's talking about, I don't know how that's going to work. That's not getting sacks. That just sounds like they're just trying to disrupt the pocket. At the end of the day, the name of the game is get the quarterback on the ground. You know what I mean? As many times as you can. Yes, being disruptive is a part of it, but I wouldn't want to rely on just being disruptive, getting the hands up, pushing it back. Like, nah, that's not. I don't know. We'll just have to see, I guess. I just don't. I've never heard that being. I've never heard of that. Sorry. I've heard of it for an individual game plan. We're going to push the pocket back. But I've never heard of it like this is going to be our technique this year. And I don't know if that's exactly what it's saying, but the game is different.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to see on that one. Now, I will
Because
say
at the
this,
end of the
but I
day,
do have to ask.
sorry, but at the end of the day, of course,
Go ahead.
you're going to push the pocket back. T-Sweat's going to push the pocket back. Big Jeff is going to do their thing. You got two guys right there that are demanding a double team. So I'm sorry, you do need somebody on the outside that's going to beat the one-on-one consistently. So that's what you need to find. You know what I'm saying? Because you have two guys up front that, yes, are going to push the pocket back alone. So you have to have somebody that could beat that could win a one-on-one. That's bottom line. You need someone that's going to win a one-on-one, because if Big Jeff is blocked one-on-one, he's going to win his matchup. If T-Sweat is blocked one-on-one, he's going to win his matchup. Who's the person that's rushing outside that's going to win the one-on-one without a blitz? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But,
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, oh no, you're good, man. You're good. You good? You had something to say? You said it. Hey, it's cool with me. And you're more knowledgeable about the NFL than I am because you played the game. So there we go.
I just understand the schemes
But
and
to
stuff
me,
like
I
that.
would say, Arden Key. hmm Got you. I got you. Now I will say, Arden Key, they are depending. It seems like to me they are depending on Arden Key and Draymond Jones to be those guys to get back there and make sacks happen. I'm just, I like Arden Key and I like the energy he brings. I'm just not sure he's going to be that guy to get you like 10 sacks.
Look, Arden Key's been here a couple years now, so if he was going to get us 10 sacks, he would have done it already. I like how he brings the energy. He's a leader. He plays his role, and, his productivity is what it is. I want to see if my guy Femi Olodejo is going to be able to get out there and use some of that youth, his speed, his size, and strength to maybe take advantage of some of those one-on-ones that Big Jeff and Shavonda Sweat are causing. You know what I mean? So, they drafted him in the second round for a reason. I've had the opportunity and privilege to meet him, speak to him a couple times, and I know his head is in the right spot. What I like about this draft cast, all the young guys, They all want to be great in some way or fashion on the football team. So obviously, you can't rely on a gang of rookies. But if rookies are mature enough to come in and play roles and help you win some games, at the end of the day, you want to stack as many wins as possible and keep developing your team for the future.
Hmm. Got you. Now, I do want to ask, since I did bring up Jihad Ward. Now, they did give Jihad Ward your number, 53. Now, I know he's not the only person that's worn that number. I know originally Oluwafemi Oladejo actually wore that number originally. Now he's number 7. And I know Will Compton, I think, wore it at one point, and I know Ernest Jones, the fourth, wore it at one point. What do you think? What kind of goes through your mind when you see guys wearing your number out there on the field for the Titans?
Look, man, let's put this out there. We could put it to rest right now. The year I went to the Giants, Jeff Fisher gave my number away right away to, I believe, Rennie Curran, which is cool. So that tells you, to me, what was felt about my number within the organization. So I told Femi, he and I, we went out to had for some barbecue a month or so ago, and he told me he was changing his number to number 7. I was like, bruh, it's all good. I'm not worried about that number. I was number 33 in college. I wanted number 3. So they gave me 33 when I first got to Syracuse. When I could have changed to 3, all my sweats were 33, so I just kept it, and I was a safety. When I got to the NFL, you couldn't wear single digits. You couldn't wear 33 neither. So I was either 93 or 53. I took 53. So yeah, it's cool to know that I was here and made that number to what it was, and that's what people, Titans fans and people around like football that really know Tennessee Titans football, remember the original 5-3. But at this point, good luck to anybody that wears it. So maybe they just need to let offensive lineman wear it or something.
I hear you there, but I do have one other question for you, and I definitely have thought about it, and I've heard other people talk about it too. That's Keith Bulluck in the Titans Ring of Honor. To me, I believe that you should be in the Titans Ring of Honor. I mean, let me just give you I know you know your numbers, but let me just say it for the viewers and listeners. 790 solo tackles, 18 sacks, 15 forced fumbles, and 21 interceptions. Now, I just want to touch on this. 21 interceptions, 19 of them were here in with the Titans, but 21 interceptions ranks you in the top 25 linebackers in NFL history. History in
Oh, snap.
interceptions. I think that you should be in the Ring of Honor. I think you should be in the Titans Ring of Honor, to be honest. And I'm trying to figure out why it hasn't happened. I need to do an investigation. I need to get Pablo Torre to do an investigation on this one. But I'm just trying to figure out, to me, I think you should be in the Titans Ring of Honor.
Well, I appreciate that, Mike. You know what? It's one of those things. Obviously, I don't make a decision on that, and that's not something that I lose sleep about. Nashville is one of those places that, and they just got football in 1999 officially. You know what I mean? And from the guys to come from Houston, the Eddie
Mhm.
Georges, the Steve McNairs, the Frank Wychecks, the Bruce Matthews, all those guys that are in the Tennessee Titans Hall of Fame that were the original pillars. For me, I know that where I fit and where I belong. So at this point in life, it's cool for that time period and the fans, but I think that the fact that every year a linebacker is given number 53 and things of that nature, you know, it'll happen when it's meant to happen. But I don't lose sleep over it because that's what you want to do. I remember my redshirt freshman year at Syracuse. Marvin Harrison ran a punt back, and against Boston College, and threw it up in the rafters of the Sky Dome. I mean, of the Carrier Dome. And then I just, ever since then, it's like, man, you gotta put it in the rafters, man. You know what I mean? So I always know I'm in the rafters just about everywhere I go.
All right, here we go. Now, I did have a couple questions, a couple comments. Corey Jackson Sr. says, no question, Bully should be in the Ring of Honor 100%. So he definitely, and then he's also got a slogan too. He's got a slogan too for you. If you want to win, put Bully in. There you go.
No doubt.
There you go.
Hey, put it like this, man. When I do finally get inducted to the Ring of Honor, man, I want the whole city to party with me. So, it's gonna be up that night.
All right, cool. Bet that, bet that. All right. Well, I gotta say, I've had a ultimately fun time talking to you about the NFL past with the Titans and the future, of course, with this team currently right now. I thank you for your time. I know you have a lot of things going on. For those that don't know, Mr. Bullock definitely has a tons of businesses that are going on around the Nashville area and beyond. And his time is very valuable. So I appreciate you for coming on the show. If you want to tell everyone where they can find you on social media, please let them know.
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram is just my name, Keith Bulluck, as it's spelled right here on the screen. 53. That's my Instagram. And on Twitter, it's just KBull53. I'm always up
Mhm,
there trying to get the conversation either thought
mhm.
provoking, or I'm talking trash, or, just trying to see what's going on in the Twitter world. It ain't real anyway.
I hear you there. I hear you there. Well, I definitely enjoy watching some of your comments that you put on there for sure. Yeah, definitely. But of course, if you're looking for me on social media, you can find me at Mike Patton 82. That's MikePatton 82 on the artist formerly known as Twitter. Sorry, I can't call it X. Only X I recognize is DMX and Malcolm X. That's it. I'm sorry. But of course, you can find me there. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at that's THA, not THE underscore general underscore MP. Touring the AFC South, you can find on all listening platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we are there. And we're also on YouTube at the Mike Patton Network. Thank you all for tuning into this episode of Touring the AFC South. We're out. Peace.